Has your adult child told you you don't understand, that you're not giving them what they need? Or does your child hang up the phone out of frustration before you've had the chance to understand them? You gave them everything. You left your home country. You worked long hours both inside the home and outside without a lot of support. You sacrificed your desires so they could have more. And somehow, the closeness you expected in return isn't fully there. You're not sure what happened and you're not sure what to do about it. Now imagine your adult child tells you, "Thank you for understanding." They tell you they feel lighter after talking to you. Now imagine a relationship where your child respects you so much that you are the first person they call when life gets tough. In this episode of Desi Dramas, we're going to talk about what your grown Desi child actually needs from you. You're going to learn 5 things, and each one is something you can start practicing this week. This episode is for Desi parents. And if you're the adult child listening right now, this might be the episode you gently forward with a note that says, "Mom, Dad, I'd love for you to hear this because I think it will help our relationship." I'm Dr. Heena Manglani-Terranova. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and I work a great deal with Desis. And the things I'm going to share in this episode are what I hear Desi patients of mine share most often with me when it comes to their parents. The list is a combination of what adult children want to hear and what the research shows to be beneficial for parent-child relationships. Now, I want to say something to the parents before we start because it matters. You are not a bad parent. The fact that you're listening to this episode means that you love your child and you want to do better. What got difficult between you and your child wasn't your fault. You took the way you were parented and did the same in a society that was foreign to you. When you arrived in this country, no one handed you a manual at the airport that said, "This is how you raise a child within 2 cultures." So this isn't about blame. This is about new moves. And if you've listened to our earlier episodes, you know that every relationship has a dance. The dance between immigrant parents and their grown children has its own steps. And some of those steps were passed down for generations. Some of them stopped working the moment your child grew up in a world that was different than the one that you grew up in. I'm going to share a parent-child dynamic I see all the time, and perhaps through their drama, their story, you might recognize some of your own moves that could benefit from some new choreography. Let's call this mother-daughter pair Amrit and her daughter Jaspreet. Jaspreet is 28 years old. She works a demanding job that her mom, Amrit, doesn't fully understand. One Sunday evening, Jaspreet calls her mom, and for once, she's not calling because of obligation. She's calling because she's having a tough week. Her company just did layoffs with the argument that AI is making some tasks unnecessary. But the reorganization of the company has actually led Jaspreet to having to do the work of 2 people. She's feeling burnt out, and she's starting to wonder if she chose the wrong company. She wants space to share with her mom what she's going through. Here's how the call goes. Jaspreet starts, "Mom, I'm so tired. Work has been brutal. I don't even know if this is the right job for me anymore. I feel lost." Amrit responds, "I told you that startup works you too hard. You should look for something with better hours." Jaspreet says, "It's not really about the hours. It's more that I feel confused and lost in this field." Amrit says, "You know, Harleen Auntie's daughter, she's working at Google now. She's very settled, good hours, good salary. Maybe you should think about something stable like that." Jaspreet goes quiet. Amrit keeps going. "And beta, as you think about a new job, maybe you should also think about settling down. You're 28 now. Your father and I were just saying, when are you going to think about marriage? You're not getting any younger, and these things take time." Jaspreet says, "Mom, I have to go. I have an early morning." Amrit says, "Whenever I bring up the topic of marriage, you hang up." "Okay, fine. Go take care of yourself, beta." Jaspreet hangs up. She feels worse than before she called. She wanted her mom to listen, to understand what she's going through. Instead, she got advice, a comparison, and a reminder that she's behind on marriage. Jaspreet may have even made a decision without noticing it. Next time something hard comes up in her life, she's not going to call her mom. Amrit hangs up too. She feels something she can't name. She was trying to help. She gave good advice. So why does she feel like there's more distance between her and her daughter? Here's the thing. Jaspreet didn't call for advice. She didn't call for a comparison. She didn't call to get a marriage reminder. She called because she needed her mom to understand, to know her, to give her space. And Amrit, who loves Jaspreet more than her own self, missed it completely. Not because she's a bad mom, because nobody ever taught her what her daughter needed in that moment. What Jaspreet needed might be exactly what your grown child needs from you. And I'm going to share 5 of those things with you now. Number 1, Izzat, or respect. We use the word Izzat all the time in our community. In different languages, it's called something else. Respect, we usually use that in one direction, from child to parent. Your child needs Izzat too. They need you to respect their opinions, their choices, and their right to live their own life. Your adult child is an adult. They get to make their own decisions, even the ones you disagree with, even the ones you think are wrong. Respecting them does not mean you agree with everything. It means you treat them as a grown person whose life belongs to them. And this isn't just an American thing. There is a basic psychological principle here. Researchers have found that autonomy, the sense that you're directing your own life, is one of the deepest human needs. When you take that away from your adult child, even with love, even with good intentions, something in them closes. Now, here's a concrete way to show your adult child Izzat. Think about something they've asked you to do or not do. And I'll give you a personal example here. I've asked my parents to stop forwarding me those WhatsApp messages. You know, the ones that preach about how to treat your elders. Sometimes those WhatsApp forwards and social media posts say things like, call your parents while they're alive. You'll miss them when they're gone. When you send that to your child, you think you're expressing what you want. What they hear is you're not doing enough. You should feel guilty. Guilt is not a vehicle for closeness, and it actually pushes people away. So try this instead. The next time you want to send a guilt forward, send a real question instead. How was your week, beta? Tell me one good thing and one hard thing. That's respect. That's an invitation. That's you opening the door for closeness. Number 2, awareness. This one is about you, not your child. Your children need you to be aware of your own emotions and your own needs so that you don't put them on your child without knowing it. And here's what I mean. When Amrit pushed marriage on Jaspreet, was that really about Jaspreet? Or was it about Amrit's own fear of what the community would say, her own worry about her daughter getting older or being unhappy, her worries about not having grandchildren? A lot of what we ask our children is actually about us. We feel lonely, so we ask, why don't they call more? We feel afraid of judgment, so we pressure them about marriage or career. There's a loss underneath that we can't name, so instead we criticize or complain. It's not wrong to feel lonely or scared, but when we don't notice what we're feeling, we hand it to our children and they end up carrying our emotions on top of their own. So before you make a request of your child, pause and ask yourself one question. Whose need is this? Is this for them or is this for me? Both are allowed, but you have to know which one it is. When you can say, I'm feeling lonely and I miss you, that's honest and your child can respond to it. When it comes out as, you never call, you only care about your friends, your child just feels attacked. Awareness is how you can take a complaint and make it into an honest feeling. And honest feelings is what brings people closer. Number 3, acknowledgement. This next one may not be something your child has told you directly that they needed, but it's likely something they would like to hear. Your children need you to acknowledge how hard it was to grow up the way they did. Many Desi kids were raised in a home where the values inside looked nothing like the values outside the house. So inside the home, they learned you got to respect your elders, don't talk back, family comes first. You always put on a good face for the community, and you make sure you do everything to protect the reputation of the family. Outside the home, they learned speak up for yourself, follow your dreams, figure out your hobbies, your passions. Your Desi American, Canadian, British, Western child spent their whole childhood switching between two worlds every single day. That's exhausting in a way you may never have fully seen because you were doing your own really difficult thing, which was surviving in a new country. Researchers call this the acculturation gap. When children take on the new culture faster than their parents do, it creates real distance and real conflict. A study looked at Asian Indian families in the US specifically and found that the bigger the gap between parents and children, the more family conflict there was and the harder it was on the kids. Now, this is the part that might be tough for parents to hear, so I'm going to say it gently. Acknowledging your children's difficulty does not mean you failed. You saying that must have been so hard for you to grow up between two worlds does not mean that you're admitting that you did something wrong. Understanding their pain is not the same as taking blame for it. It's you showing empathy and tenderness. It's saying, I see what your life was actually like, even the parts that were hard because of how we raised you. And it's not often that I hear Desi parents tell their child, that must have been difficult for you. So I encourage you to try saying it and see what happens. 4, unconditional positive regard. This is a term from the psychologist Carl Rogers, and it means loving and accepting a person no matter what. Not because of their grades, not because of their job title, not because they married the right person or gave you grandchildren. Just because they are your child and because they are a human being. And every human being deserves love. In a lot of Desi homes, love comes with conditions. You showed love to your child when they got an A or were at the top of their class. You got quiet or scolded them when they got a B. Approval depended on getting into a prestigious college, following the right career path, getting married to a suitable partner. Many Desi kids grew up believing that they had to earn love from their parents by performing. And a child who believes love must be earned becomes an adult who's exhausted, anxious, and afraid to tell their parents the truth about their life. Your child needs to know that your love is permanent. It's evergreen. It's always there. That on the day they fail, on the day they make the choice that you disagree with, on the day they have nothing impressive to report, that you still love them exactly the same. Your love is not conditioned on anything they do, and that you view them positively no matter what. So here's how you practice this. Find a moment this week that has nothing to do with achievement or something they did for you. Not a graduation or a job promotion, not when they helped you order something online or translated your blood test results. Just an ordinary Tuesday. And tell your child, I'm proud of who you are. Not what you do, but who you are. If that feels impossible to say out loud, that tells you how rarely you must have heard it from your parents. But say it anyway. You can be the one who breaks this chain across generations. Number 5, the right kind of support. This is the most practical tool, and it's the one Amrit missed on the phone call with Jaspreet. Your children need different kinds of support at different times. And most of the time, parents give the wrong kind of support because they don't ask what their child needs. And there are really 3 kinds of support a person can need. Sometimes your child needs help, an actual fix, a solution, advice. That's informational or practical support. Sometimes your child just needs validation, someone to say, that sounds really hard. That's a terrible situation. That's emotional support. And sometimes your child just needs you to listen, to be there, to not do anything at all, except stay on the phone and provide them with space to vent. They just want presence. That's companionship. Research on how people support each other shows that when the support someone gives doesn't match the support the other person needs, it actually makes things worse. When we give advice to someone who just wants to feel heard, they can feel dismissed or criticized. So when Jaspreet says, I feel lost, and her mom Amrit says, go look for something with better hours, Amrit gave help when Jaspreet just needed to feel heard. And that hurt. It landed as a wound. Now, the fix for this is so simple, it almost sounds too easy. Ask. Before you jump in, ask your child one question. Do you want my advice, or do you just want me to listen? That one question changes everything. It tells your child you respect them enough to follow their lead. It also requires you to be aware of your own emotions, such as worry and concern about your child, and to not react from that, but instead to respond from a place of presence. Do you see what we just did there? To enact this one question, you get to put into practice giving your child what they need, giving respect, and being aware of yourself. This question of whether your child needs advice or wants you to listen saves you from giving a solution to a problem they didn't ask you to solve. And 9 times out of 10, when you actually ask, your child will tell you exactly what they need. Okay, so let's recap the 5 things your children need from you. 1. Izzat. Respect their choices as an adult. Stop sending those guilt forwards. Send a real question instead. Number 2. Awareness. Know your own emotions and needs before you hand them to your child. Ask yourself, whose need is this? Number 3. Acknowledgement. See how hard it was to grow up between 2 worlds. Understanding their pain doesn't mean you failed. 4. Unconditional positive regard. Love them for who they are, not what they achieve, and say it out loud to them on an ordinary day. Number 5. The right kind of support. Before you fix, ask, do you want advice or do you just want me to listen? Now here's what I want you to try this week. Pick one, just one. The next time your child calls, before you give any advice, ask them what kind of support they want. That single question can reopen a door you thought was closed. And to the adult children listening, I want to say one thing to you too. Your parents did their best with what they were given, and they are still learning. If you can offer them the same grace you wish they'd offered you, change can happen much faster for everyone. You don't have to wait for them to get it perfectly. You can teach them gently what you need. And I have to say, nobody in the family is the villain. The villain is the pattern passed down through generations where people never got to learn anything different. The good news is that patterns can change, and you're already changing this one just by being here. If this episode moved you, share it. Send it to a parent, send it to your sibling, send it to a friend who has a difficult relationship with their parent. You can enable these moves by sharing this episode to people in your community. And please rate and review Desi Dramas on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps more Desi families find the show, and I read every single review. This isn't therapy, but I trust it has been therapeutic. Until next Tuesday, take good care of yourselves and your loved ones.